Hey there, it's Brett Klika with BrettKlika.com and the Underground Workout Manual. What I want to talk about today is your weight loss or fat loss plan. We're getting to a time of year where it's that New Year's resolution, or it may not be that time of year for you, but there's usually at least one time a year that people are willing to sit down for maybe it's even 10 minutes, or they don't even sit down, they just think about it. They think about changing behavior, they think about changing their body, whether it's a New Year's resolution or just a 10-week program, a challenge, whatever it is. They sit down and plan, which is great. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't experience success, and some of that is because they just don't stick with the program. The other part is the program was set up for failure in the first place. When you're trying to lose weight or lose fat, essentially, there's some ways that you should be spending your time and energy with all the different components of weight loss and fat loss. The three most important components are going to be what you eat, your nutrition, resistance training, how much you can actually increase your lean muscle mass, and aerobic training. And that's a way to burn fat and create sort of a fat burning machine with your body. Now, all three of those are very necessary to have in your weight loss and fat loss program, and most people understand that. But this is the way most people allocate that time and energy and even money. Is if you ask them how much aerobic training they did, oh my gosh, they can give you an absolute manual. I do the elliptical at this speed for this amount of time, this many days a week. I've done it for this long, and I'm going to continue doing it. They know all of these details about their aerobic training program, and they run, or they ride the bike, or they go to spin class, and they do aerobic all day long. And hey, that's great for you. Any exercise is going to be far better than sitting on the couch, and aerobic training is awesome for your heart and your whole cardiovascular and your pulmonary system, and really there's so many benefits, it's crazy. However, if your primary goal is long-term weight loss and fat loss, aerobic training belongs in the program, but it shouldn't be the foundation of the pyramid. Most people create a pyramid when they're looking at how to spend their time and energy with aerobic training, with resistance training, with nutrition. This is what that pyramid looks like. A good portion, the foundation of that pyramid is it's aerobic training. And that's where they know all the details, they put their time and energy into the aerobic training. Then they'll go on to talk about, well, yeah, after I do aerobics, I do some weights. And that's about as far in depth as they can get into their resistance training. I do some weights. And then last, as an afterthought, it turns into, I try to eat well, I try to eat what I can, and I'm like anybody else. I'm not going to deny myself. And so, I have some food. So that's all the detail we get when we get to nutrition. So I want to share with you how we can invert that pyramid so we quit being part of that fat loss frustrated and start to become someone who gets their goals. Be that person who puts in the work and gets some return for their investment of time and energy. And it's actually a pretty simple way to invert this pyramid. All we're going to do, instead of the cherry on top of the sundae and having aerobics be the foundation, we're just going to switch. So now, yummy. We got nutrition right here. Nutrition is going to be the absolute foundation. That's where we're going to put our time and energy. And then aerobic training is going to be in there, but it's going to be strategic. And it's going to be the cherry on top of our sundae. And here's why. With nutrition, you can't outwork a bad diet. You just can't do it. You can be working, you can be doing absolutely everything. We're putting bad fuel in the tank. Dr. John Berardi, I loved it. He said, food isn't fuel, it's information. And I think about it two ways. Food is fuel. It does provide you fuel for work, but food is information. Food tells your body what to do. If we take in bad information, it's going to tell our body to do bad things. We take in good information, it's going to tell our body to do good things. And that was one of the best metaphors I've heard with food. So remember, food is information. So what do we do with food? Well, let's start simple. Let's not get all crazy. Let's not buy into one nutritional dogma. Let's just think about the idea of eat real whole food. We're not becoming overweight as a population because we're eating too many free-range, organic, grass-fed chickens. That's not why we're getting overweight. We're not getting overweight because we're eating too many dark yolk egg yolks. That's not why America is getting overweight. We're getting overweight because we're overeating foods with no nutritional quality. We're eating foods that essentially give our body bad information. Those are the foods we're eating: the crackers, the cereals, the processed food that literally have addictive chemicals in it designed to make us eat more. And that's not some crazy sort of conspiracy theorist. That is actually, there are actually addictive chemicals in processed food. Why do you think, where's the tagline like "you can't eat just one" come from? They wouldn't put that on a beer, "you can't drink just one." They'd have the liquor commission come down you pretty dang hard. But we can put it on food because that's sort of a goal of food, is to get you addicted to a specific brand or a specific taste. So let's first start with eating real whole food nutrition, and then for 2 weeks, I want you to actually write down what you eat. And yes, if we start making the right choices with whole foods and real foods, then you're just gonna have great fuel around. You're not really gonna have to worry that much about counting calories. You're not gonna have to worry about all that. But for 2 weeks, I want you to take a check-in point so you can see what you're actually eating. That means everything that goes into your mouth is written down. Everything from that breakfast you eat to I just grabbed a handful of chips. I just had a cookie at lunch. I just had this. I just had a sucker here. I just did. Everything that goes into your mouth is recorded. Okay, so we do that for 2 weeks, and we can see where we may have thought before, oh my goodness, I eat so great, or well, we don't, and you realize that. So let's start with that second. We're going to go to resistance training. Now, where resistance training for most people is that afterthought, now we're going to make it where you really focus your exercise time and energy on resistance training. Try to get stronger. We're no longer looking at using the same weight or the same resistance we did back in '82. Now we're looking at, can you get stronger? If you do knee push-ups today, hey, great. In 6 weeks, are you doing real push-ups? If you can lift 20 pounds today on a kettlebell deadlift, well, what can you do in 6 weeks? If you've been bench pressing 150 for the last 20 years, well, we might want to look into making some modifications there. So let's focus your program on getting stronger. When we get stronger, we shock that system. We actually increase that amount of engine. Okay, our lean muscle mass is our engine. If we have a bigger engine, we'll utilize more fuel. It's pretty basic. What burns more fuel, a V6 engine or a V8? Well, right away you'd say a V8. What happens if the V6 and V8 are in the same size car? Which car is going to burn more fuel? Well, the V8 is always going to burn more fuel. So let's get that V8 by resistance training. The exercise, the go-to exercises to build a bigger engine, we're going to look at squats, we're going to look at deadlifts, lunges, pull-ups, push-ups, bench presses, rows, things like curls and tricep extensions and crunches. Those are great pieces of a puzzle. They're great pieces to a program, but focus your energy on the bigger muscle lifts. Man or woman, particularly women. Women. We're fighting an uphill battle. We don't have a lot of testosterone. We really need to work hard to increase the amount of lean muscle we have. So really focus on that. And finally, aerobic training. It's a part of the program. Aerobic training is tremendous for us, and it's an essential component to an overall fat loss program. But what most people do is they turn it into the elliptical death march 5 or 6 days a week. I challenge you, if you're a 5 or 6 day a week aerobic person and you're doing aerobics as a fat loss focus, then let's cut that aerobic training, because we only have so much time every day. If you're a professional bodybuilder, figure model, I'd say, well, yeah, we need to keep all these in there every day because that's what you do. But if that's not what you do, time economy is going to be important. So I'm going to ask you to make sure we're resistance training pretty heavy 3 to 4 days a week. And then aerobic training 3, maybe 4 days a week. 3 days a week for me actually functioned to get me to run a 1:30 half marathon. It's functioned this year for me to get below 8% body fat, get down to about 6% body fat. So 3 days a week's work for me, an extra day in there, but it's being strategic. When I talk about strategic, I mean, instead of getting on the 40 minutes elliptical, let's look at the high intensity interval training. So let's try to go for a minute at high intensity of 90% of your maximum heart rate. Okay, so that's getting it up there for most people. That's 150, 160, 170. It's a high heart rate. Getting it up there for 30 seconds to a minute, maybe more, depending on your experience, and then recovering for about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and then getting your heart rate back up and recovering. So that's going to be an effective strategy, at least 1 out of those 3 to 4 days, maybe 2. One of the days you're doing aerobic training, we're still going old school. We're still going the low intensity training. The low intensity training gets beat up, but it does play a very important role in fitness, in recovery, and even in fat loss. So don't completely ditch that. So you got 1 to 2 days of the high intensity, 1 day of the low intensity, and then if you're going to do 4 days, then 1 more day of sort of the intermediate where you're timing yourself for a certain distance, or you're sort of doing a hybrid of the two for about 25 to maybe 30 minutes. Okay, so that's where we're going to get the strategic aerobics. So in summary, if you want it to work for you, if you want a program, if you don't want to be part of the fat loss frustrated in the new year, let's invert that current pyramid to something that's going to work for you. Become a nutritionist weightlifter that does strategic aerobic training. Start thinking like that. When you go to train, I am a nutritionist weightlifter that does strategic aerobic work. When we do that, that is when you're going to get success in the new year or whenever you want to get success. So if you want more information, if you want to go into more depth, check out my book, The Underground Workout Manual, at www.undergroundworkoutmanual.com. You can also get more information in that book on exercise programs. I have a 12-week video exercise program. Make sure to check it out. For other information, go to www.brettklika.com. It's great talking to you today. Remember to invert that pyramid. Good luck and achieve. Sweat, smile, sustain, and I hope to see you soon.